Can you hear us? Thank you very much. Oh, good. Um, All right, everybody, are we ready to get started here? The time is 4:04, and we will call to order the Education Alliance Board meeting for April 21st, 2025. So with that, we'll turn it over to our secretary, Julie Rogers, for roll call. Julia.
Miss Michelle Anderson.
Oh, and can you speak into the mic? We have
Yes, I'm sorry.
some people online. We have Dave online. Thank you.
Michelle Anderson.
Here.
Brian Bosma.
Speaking here.
Christine Brown Gallagher.
Present.
Melissa Dedman.
Here.
Kaylin Evans is not here. Lauren Rodriguez, I believe. Lauren, are you online? No. Victoria Mason.
Present.
Landon Miller is
Present.
Chris Morgan.
Virtually.
Manny Ortiz. Ralph Rodriguez. Absent. Julia Rogers is here. Dave Shintani is
Here.
virtual. David Taylor. And Sarah Gobshill.
Present.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and with that, it looks like we do have a quorum. Up next, we're going to ask for public comment. Is there any public comment at this time?
None at this time.
None at this time. Thank you, Brittany. Moving on, we're going to go a little out of order here, because we do have some guests in the room here, and I don't want to keep you guys waiting a little bit longer. So if you want Trustee to come up and speak, I believe you're talking about one of the decisions that we made recently in regards to. Oh, you're just here to talk. Yeah, well then come on up and say what you got to say. I want to respect your time, and that's what we're doing.
I've got a really loud voice. Trustee Westlake, Trustee Colleen, I'm very pleased to be here. I think it's amazing what all of you do for the children of the district, and we're here to say thank you for all that hard work. I can't imagine what the kids would be missing out on without the efforts that you do continuously for the kids, and it is not without a great deal of appreciation and thanks, and I'm just in awe that you are doing this for the district. I really am, for the kids. It's amazing what you do. And Bernice Matthews is one of my schools, and I know the kids appreciate it. When I talk to the kids and they ask, what I do, and then I'm like, well, I'm your voice, and they're like, can we have playground equipment? They're so adorable, and you guys make it happen for them. And I thank each and every one of you for all of your work and what you do. Thank you.
Trustee JJ Phoenix and ditto.
I know I talk a lot too.
No, I'm here to learn. I'm new to the board, so everything that goes on, I'm learning and listening and just trying to identify what you do and how you do it. And if there's anything else that we can do to help you, just reach out and let us know. So thanks.
Well, thank you both for coming in. It's always nice having, especially trustees in the room, and you get to learn a little bit about what we do, Trustee Phoenix, and so sit back, relax, and enjoy the lively conversations. Today's relatively light, so it should be informative, but this is where we get some of the work done. So thank you for coming. With that, we will go over to 201 from our welcome from our executive director, Sarah Gobshill.
Okay, thank you guys so much for coming. As I know the board knows this, but I was sick last week, so if my voice is still showing that a little bit, just patience with me here. I did want to say thank you guys so much for coming, and the appreciation is really thoughtful and something that means a lot, especially to Brittany and I and this board. It's not possible without amazing volunteers who want to put their effort and time and networks toward things like this that really move the needle for our kids. kids. And I think that especially in your guys' role, it's not always easy, right? Being a champion for public education. And so we really thank you. And hopefully all of us, as we continue to work closely together, will just be able to move the needle that much more for our kiddos, because we know it really does make a difference for those kids. So I always start these meetings with just a thank you to our board members, honestly, because they are ambassadors for public education in our community. And I think that arguably it's a pretty different time that we're all in right now. And so we're all really learning and pivoting as we go along. Today, we're really going to have, I think it will be a pretty quick meeting. We're going to go through and share a number of updates of the work that we've been doing. And then we have a couple of agenda items on the end where we're really looking to have discussion and really for you guys to be able to share your insights and your expertise, because again, you guys have different relationships out in the community and a different perspective, and we always love to learn from that. And so with that, I think we can roll on.
Perfect. With that, we'll go over to our first voting, I guess, of the day. This is going to be approval of the minutes from our previous meeting, which was a long, long time ago on February 24th, 2025, almost 2 months ago. So with that, we'll need a motion and then a second and then a vote to approve the meeting minutes from February 24th.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nice.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? No. Okay. All right. That one passes. Thank you, everyone. Up next, 203, update on the possible merger of Washoe K-12 Education Foundation into the Education Alliance of Washoe County and the articles of merger with the Secretary of State. So, Sarah, if you want to get us caught up on that, and we'll learn what's going on with her.
I do. So in January, we talked about making a motion to the Board of Trustees. In April or later that month, it was approved by the Board of Trustees to move forward. And so we're just really in the process of, filing with the Secretary of State. And so I just wanted to let everyone know today that the merger plans have been filed with the Secretary of State. So things are moving along pretty quickly, and I think once we probably pay our fees to be able to do all the things, like that should happen really quickly. So again, with the weekly updates I'm sharing, I'm hoping that this will be probably in the next 2 weeks. They move pretty fast once they have that. So I just wanted to let everyone know that is moving forward, and then the next thing we get to talk about is how we get to share about there being a unified front on that, which is exciting.
And I was going to ask if you could explain what that merger means, what that unified front means. Just kind of remind us why this merger is important and what it means for the kiddos.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about different perspectives out in the community and what people may or may not know about the district and who's supporting the district. But one of the things that we heard, or that I heard a lot when I first came in, was that there was donor confusion in terms of who do I support if I'm really interested in supporting Washoe County School District. There's the Education Alliance, which is an amazing organization. There's also Washoe K-12 Foundation, which is an amazing organization. And so with the merger of these two organizations and leaving one entity and organization that can be recognized, it will really streamline when people want to support the district, where they can come. And so that is something that we're really looking forward to. And as you guys know, it's been a very collegial relationship, something that is very positive. And so we are working hand in hand to further these efforts, and honestly have been working really closely for the chronic absenteeism pieces. So we've been, sharing what we've been doing, and they are also helping to build awareness around that.
Sweet. So 2 weeks. That's it. All right. If I'm asking you too many questions, you can't talk. Just give me a face, too much. Any other questions for Sarah on that one? It was just basically a presentation, but any comments? No. Yeah, Victoria.
Sarah, just briefly, our name or what we're going to be known as is not going to change. Are we still going to continue to be the Education Alliance of Washoe County, or are we going to merge the two somehow?
That's a really good point. Just to keep aligned with what this agenda item is, it's really about the legal filing, but anticipate us bringing back and having that conversation going forward. I think it's a smart one for all of us to think about. But at this juncture, there is no plan to necessarily rename initially or rebrand, but I think it's worth a discussion going forward.
There we go. How do you guys do the buttons? The buttons kind of throw me off. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'll say something
And then someone else picks it up.
then they say it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I said it. Your mic wasn't on, and then this one tries to jump in.
Yeah, that's technology. All right, my mic is on. We're good to go. Let's go over to 204. This is for presentation and discussion. This is regarding the update on the Washoe County School District's chronic absenteeism campaign and our efforts to support those solutions, including information on some check presentations and some communication on the impact there. So that's always exciting, Sarah, right?
So you guys made it happen last time we met, right? With sort of really approving where the funds are going to go and making sure that it really aligns with the needs. And so we're really going full speed ahead of that. We have, at this point, we have helped support, 2 re-engagement specialists. We have some supplies, but we are actively working on proposals to really look to close the gap for what's needed for the remaining for fiscal 26. Really just making sure that staff could be across all of the middle schools. And we're looking to see how we can in addition to this, work with a coalition to bring a wider awareness to the family resource centers. So you may remember Rochelle Murillo came in and spoke about the family resource centers and how they're helping. We know that, and we heard this in the last meeting, how our most vulnerable students and the families who are struggling with, some things like housing stability or food instability can disproportionately suffer from chronic absenteeism. And so we're working to really build awareness around that. So one, our primary audience is middle schools, but then also so how do we address these really complex factors? And so that's part of the conversation that we're starting to have wider as we're talking with more and more community members. And again, that's with the coalition that we're working with so that we're not the only ones saying this is a big community issue. We are trying to come together to really make a difference as it impacts Washoe County School District. We're also moving forward with working with a community foundation who will help us manage the funds for this campaign, which I think is really great because they're helping us to build capacity and awareness. We know that that's a really respected organization, and they're really, there's so many folks in our community who really want to know what's the best way for me to help, and this is an identified way to move forward. And as you guys know, obviously at the board level, but these are evidence-based solutions. They're part of a wider strategy and a number one priority for the district. And so I think just by seeing those different ways the solutions are coming together really makes a difference. We've included a story of impact in the packet, so you can see this, and this came directly after the conversation really that we had in January, where in particular Kaylin, and he's not here today because I want to be like, listen, and David really talked a lot about, we know we have to bring these stories to life. We know that the data, especially when you're looking at district-wide data or school-wide data, it's really too complex to share the story of how you're making this impact, right? And so we met with a re-engagement specialist who shared us a story of Joshua. I'm sure you guys know this, but we always make sure to be very careful with student data. So there's a number of things that have been changed in this story to protect the family, but the facts are all the same. And so really, this was a kiddo who's really struggling in 7th grade, not good attendance, not knowing what to do, showing up. And the principals and the re-engagement specialist, after developing this relationship, met with the kid at the very beginning of 8th grade and was like, this is the year that you can make a difference. You can be in charge of this. And they found out, there's some challenges at home, and they helped the student to advocate for themselves. It's really important, when I show up. And they saw a huge increase in attendance, 12%, which maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but is tremendous. Yeah, it's a really big jump. And more importantly, I think about this story is really one about self-efficacy. Like the student hearing, you get to try again. There are people who care about you. The student you were in 7th grade is not the student you're going to be in 8th grade. And again, all of us in the room, we're already champions. We already know that. But many times kids don't realize like they're not finished yet. They can have these beliefs like I'm this person. So all the things that aren't good about them, they think it's them. And all the things they think they're awesome at are them. And we know at 25, they're going to look back and be like, wow, I was different. And at 42, they're going to look back and say, oh gosh, where was I there? Like it's a constant process. But this is a story that we'll be sharing out in our newsletter. And we're starting to incorporate in those donor impact reports, which was a huge topic of conversation when we were here in February. Like what's happening? How are you showing this progress? And again, just so everybody knows here, one of the reasons that this takes a little bit longer than it might in a smaller organization is because the people doing the work are so busy doing the work, they don't actually have time to sit down to share the story. So it takes us a minute to gather that information. We want to make sure that we're sharing information everybody feels comfortable with, so it doesn't create a game of telephone or we share things that are incorrect. So that's part of a little snippet of our donor impact story. And then I wanted to share that we have 2 check presentations that I'd love if the board has any capacity to join us. One is May 13th, and that's going to be in the afternoon, and that's with NV Energy. They have given a sizable contribution, and actually I think it's the largest one Education Alliance has received on behalf of this effort. So it's really great because while they were part of the support that we've already brought to the board, having them put, really build awareness and put their names towards this effort is really powerful. And so we get to say that they are helping us kick off this effort. And then shortly after we have a check presentation at Dilworth Middle School, which was part of contributions from Meadows Banks. And that's happening May 6th. So make sure those are on your calendar, and we'd love to have you guys come.
Is there times for those?
Time's not yet.
Okay.
Those 2 dates, morning of the 6th and afternoon of the 13th, as soon as I finalize that this week, we'll invite folks if you're interested.
Perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
know. It's so
No,
hard.
it's
You
good
guys are
though.
so busy. It's really
Yeah.
important. I know. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all the updates I have for chronic absenteeism.
All right. Any questions or any comments for Sarah on this item? I think you have to use the mic though. Yeah. Wait, Michelle, is this? No. No. So no comments? Oh, no comments. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. In general public comment, you can.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. General public. I know. That's why I have Michelle here. Like, Michelle, yes, no, I don't know. We don't want to break the rules. Any discussion points or questions on this?
Not at this time.
None at this time from the board or anything. So with the Community Foundation, I'm just kind of curious to talk about their role in some of their efforts there. So what exactly will the Community Foundation do? I mean, I'm familiar with them to an extent.
Yeah.
Great organization. They do great work here. They have a great base of donors and community partners. So what do you see their role and our partnership looking like with this effort?
Yeah, so I think and again, we're really kind of exploring this, but one of the things that we've talked about is them really helping us when it comes to, the fund management, helping to bring in a wider range of folks that may be connected. There's a lot of folks that, there's a lot of donors who really know and have a great relationship with Community Foundation who may not be aware, and this goes honestly back to our first conversation about Education Alliance and the work that we do, especially with us merging with Washoe K-12. foundation. So that's a space where I think like a lot of that organization is where a lot of people go when they really want to find out where's a good organization. So that will really look like collaborating and working with them on those. I will bring more details back, but I just thought it was important as we're talking about the campaign and how we're working together with the Y Coalition to make sure I bring that up. And you guys, again, are seeing this in your regular sort of updates from me on a weekly basis. Yeah.
Cool. Sarah, thank you. Any other comments, questions? All right, we'll move on to 205 here, presentation, discussion, and update on the Teacher Appreciation Campaign, including how it relates to attendance, what Education Alliance is doing, and exploring ideas for how Ed Alliance can increase support. I would imagine it would start by actually sending in the Facebook posts, because I haven't done that. Shame on me. I know we have, so shout out to Julia doing it. Chris Morgan did it. Manny did it. Melissa did it. I haven't done it yet. Do I still have time? Okay, I still have time. I will do it. I will do it today, I promise.
With that, I do want to point out, can you go to the very top of the packet? Because this was really exciting for us. So we've included a picture, which we blurred. Okay, I'm going to explain it.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain it.
Let's
you
hear the
guys.
picture. Let's hear it.
We'll probably edit it a little bit before we posted the website because there was a lot of concerns with this picture. But it's because the original packet did not have the blurred out of the other kiddos. And instead, we were trying to show Manny on a field trip with his amazing teacher. Okay?
Oh, we love it. We got it. We got it. Okay.
That's Manny in the circled picture, not a missing child, which is maybe what it looks like here. Unfortunately. I know. Sometimes
Wait,
not.
is there a statute of limitations?
Yeah.
With the privacy of these. I'm like, how long ago is this? Purpose got a statute of limitations.
It's probably true. I know. I always go on the safe side. So I was like, maybe you should blur the pictures out. Maybe this was not the best case. But what we heard when we asked people to tell us tell us about a teacher who made a difference in your life. What does Manny say? Listen, here's my third grade teacher. Here's a picture of us on a field trip to the Railroad Museum here in Nevada. This woman challenged us. She opened our doors. And here's somebody this is Glenn Duncan, right? Where he serves, as Dean's Future Scholar. They have folks at that school. I mean, if that doesn't show why we don't invest in our kiddos, I don't know what does, right? And so this was just so amazing. We're putting it on the front of the board packet. But then because of some graphic issues, we realized maybe it wasn't coming across quite as sweet as endearing as it was meant to be. So, but just to give context. Yeah, sometimes it's important to explain what you're thinking. So really, what I wanted to do and bring to this one happened really, really fast. And I think it's important to explain why we were like, okay, we're going to jump into a pretty quick campaign. As you guys know, for us, campaigns work best when they have a little bit of time to build and develop. When you can build awareness, you can do those sort of things. But we really know that teachers play such an incredible role. And when it's so linked to, attendance and chronic absenteeism, we were like, okay, let's try to do this. Let's try to get everyone really excited and appreciate a teacher. And so we really, we working with some other really amazing nonprofits, the Chamber of Commerce, Strengthen Our Communities, PPS Reno, and just really wanted to, really honor our educators. And while we have kicked off this campaign, we're seeing less traction really than we thought was going to be possible. And I wanted to let you know, in talking with Anne, she told me one of the biggest factors she thinks might be playing into this is 3 organizations that are relatively small in size trying to build awareness quickly, that can be tricky. 2, she said that and I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I was got the right publication, but there was a report, and the U.S. Chamber put out a report citing that market volatility is the #1 concern for business owners, particularly to small to mid-sized companies, and we think that's a really huge factor. Like the Chamber came out of it, the gate, they were like, here, let's do this, let's share with businesses how, even a gift of $10 dollars could really make a difference. And we did have some folks come in, but I just think there's a lot of people who are really unsure about what's going to happen in this economy. And so going forward with the teacher appreciation, I think we're really excited that we're going to make the proclamation of honoring the Appreciation Week and then build this one over time. But I just wanted to let everyone know, because it's so powerful hearing about what has happened with you and your teachers and what the role of an educator means to us. And I think that we are trying to bring those stories and really just make the full vertical connection for our community. And again, I think people are well aware, but when you put a face and a name to something that's real and we can share it, the more power it has. So just know, this is going forward, but kind of where we are right now with this teacher appreciation campaign, because I just didn't know if anyone's checked in and kind of seen. So yeah.
Am I the only one who hasn't listened to the rules, or are there others?
Well, one of the things Anne did say
Okay.
was that it would have been very, very powerful and probably completely successful if you would have put your picture on. I didn't want to say that on the record, but no, I'm teasing. But no, I really still think there's time to share this, because again, we can use this content in many different ways. The role of it, like the teacher and teacher appreciation, doesn't go away. And every single time we go to a classroom, and Brittany knows this, we say thank you to the teacher, we say thank you to the principal, because we know without the work that they do, nothing that we do is possible.
I also just want to say, as a teacher, that it doesn't take much for us to feel appreciated. Like, don't give up. These little acts do help. I mean, it's one thing to raise a critical mass of money to move the needle on an initiative like chronic absenteeism, but we like portive subs. It's not that expensive. So I'm just saying, little things go a long way.
And on that note, we do have a couple of sponsors who are like, hey, we want to do things in here. So you'll probably continue to hear about us on this.
And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here on this, but so tomorrow at 2:00 is what exactly?
There has been a proclamation to make April 22nd Teacher Appreciation. Is that right?
That is not correct. Okay, maybe I'm looking at a typo here.
No.
No, tomorrow is the Board of Trustee meeting at 2:00.
Okay.
And part of, in recognition of Educator Appreciation Week and month, so the school district honors the first week in May, and
Got
then
it.
obviously the entire month of May.
Sure.
And so we will have a proclamation at the board meeting. We have consent items at the beginning, and then this is the first presentation. We have approximately 12 staff members from all across the district.
Okay.
If you notice, I say educator,
Sure.
because every person in the district is an educator. And so the board will be honoring them with a proclamation. We'll take photos. And so if you would like to be there, we'd love for you to be there.
Okay.
We are also going to mention the Education Alliance, Strengthen Our Communities, and the Chamber for their work.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, Michelle, for the clarification. That's perfect. Sounds like an exciting time. All right. No. I think it's great. So that's tomorrow at 2:00. We're foreshadowing what's happening tomorrow too. So you guys get ready. Okay. Any other questions or comments as the item relates to 205? All right. Hearing none, we'll go over to 206. Presentation, discussion, and update on the signature fundraising event, an evening of pure imagination, and other possible fundraising events. Sarah.
Okay, excellent. So for this agenda, we really anticipate discussing primarily the evening of pure imagination principle for a day. But, as this group always has ideas, this is the space. And I think it's come up in a couple different agendas where we've tried to have a conversation and it hasn't been agendized. And so we're here. But I wanted to let you know, so Brittany and I really have been trying to meet with most of our larger donors over the last little bit, both large and small, to kind of talk about, the future of our gala and the work that we're doing. And so after last year, we got feedback initially that our gala, it was really hard to schedule in from some of our supporters with other galas. And folks gave us some feedback a little bit about, the connection to education and, seeing some of the things. So and we have been telling the board this. So we met with a number of our donors just to find out what would happen if we put the gala on pause this year. As you know, we have a very small team, and we have been doing a lot of things this year, and we've been really trying to focus in on building good relationships, getting proposals out of the door, and, building capacity so that once we have a really good lane and focus, that we can go out there. So we have decided that this year, what is probably best is for us to hold on an evening of pure imagination, but to focus our efforts on Principal for a Day in February. And the reason is because we're so small, I feel like we're going to need to build capacity and get to a space like once we're running really well, then we can come back to the gala, because I want to emphasize that it is so wonderful to have a reason to gather people together and to celebrate education and to do those things. But Principal for a Day, I believe, is the event we're really truly known for out in the community. When I was meeting with people and with honestly our sponsors, like a lot of folks are like, well, what about Principal for Day? What about Principal for Day? And you guys know we paused it this year, Principal for Day, 2 reasons really. One, by the time we got to Joe Ernst's calendar, after he had settled in, February 13th was our main day that we could do, and that ended up being EDON's State of the Economy, and we thought that was imprudent, or wasn't prudent to go head to head with them, and so we were like, okay, let's give ourselves a little bit more time. So we would like to really focus our efforts on that, and maybe re-envision how Principal for a Day can be truly a sponsored event, one that people come in, one people that they can enjoy, and gives us space so that we can talk about, what are some really amazing opportunities and highlights happening in the district, but also what are some challenges, right? Like, how can we gather people? And while we haven't talked about this, we're hoping it could be potentially at the same venue. But, gather people together and have a space where it's, it's during the day, it feels like it's connected to education and it's really connected to our community, and I don't know if, it's an ish on the Women's Fund. I don't know if it's an ish on EDON, but like that idea of like when people come together and they can see the support. So, companies can elect to have a Principal for a Day, and there is a space, to debrief that, but then we are pivoting to really talk about, hey, this is the important work that's happening here. I think that could be something that would really weave together a lot of the work we're doing. And so that's kind of what we have been thinking. That's kind of what we've been talking about a little bit with some of our donors, but I really wanted to bring that to you guys and just see, how does that feel? What are you thinking? What things could we be missing, or, just give time for the board to be able to discuss that. So with that, I'm going to stop talking for a bit.
I have plenty of comments, and I'll start with this. I'm really disappointed that I don't get to dress up as Willy Wonka. Let the record reflect that. Yeah, we did run out of versions. So my thought is I think it feels, yes, versions. I kind of bit my lip when I said that. Anyway, I think it's a great move. I think it feels great. What we're able to do is we can offer businesses and partners something that no other organization in town can do, and that's access to our schools. And what we do day in and day out, especially about this, is showing and sharing that story. And I think that is what really can resonate with a sponsor, with a donor. And I've always been a proponent of doing one thing and doing it right. And if that is Principal for a Half Day, doubling down on that, we're very supportive and thankful for the row for such an incredible 3-4 years that we have done in the past. But, I've been part of the Women's Fund, I've been part of the EDON Lunch, and those are really, really great events, and they're in the middle of the day. And I think that it's an easy way to kind of tie the two together. But the same thing of what you've said, Sarah, is that when you talk to people in the community, they say, oh yeah, but Principal for Half Day, or the one time when I was at Hug High School this, So I think that really leaning in to what we are able to offer and show that experience that way is, in my opinion, the route that I would like to see this go. Even though it is great dressing up as Willy Wonka and all that other stuff, I love it. But at the same time, that connection to education has a lot more potential with doing principal for a day or principal for a half day and really doing it right. So with that, I will, that's my 2 cents. Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
You can still dress up as Willie at principal for.
Okay, I'll still not.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can even dress up as Willy Wonka at every one of these meetings, Landon. So
not.
there's nothing that stops that from happening.
Yeah.
I just want to, I agree that this is the right move. Principal for a Day is just such a fantastic event, and it's a bummer that we haven't been able to do that over the last couple of years. I will say, though, that, as we think about what we might want to do next, we might want to throw Run for Education back in. And I know Brittany's like, no, please don't say that, Chris. But I mean, that event just brought the entire community together. It was such good press for the district, for us. It raised money. It got kids out running. If there was a way we could figure out how to do that without killing anyone in preparation, I think that's one to at least keep on the list. But for now, this is the right move, I think.
I have a question about Principal for a Day. Did it used to be legitimately full day? So just very quick anecdote. Long time ago, my brother-in-law did Principal for a full day, and he always talks about it. This was years ago. And he talks about the fact that he was with a Title I principal, and they didn't have time to eat lunch, because of course they don't have time to eat lunch. And my brother-in-law, he's going to kill me for sharing this, he gets migraines from low blood sugar. He got the worst migraine of his life during Principal for a Day that took days to get over, and he still loved every minute of it, and he felt how telling it was to have to stick with this principal for a full day, and how he was like, I don't know how educators maintain this pace. But we do. And so I don't know if it sounds like we're going to do half a day, and that's great because this sounds like a fantastic event. But I don't know if maybe there was no buy-in from the community to do a full day.
So I can address that. The reason they shifted away from the full day to a half day was the amount of work that it was taking on the district side, and taking principals away from the items that they needed to do for the day. So it was trying to come up with a compromise that was beneficial to the school, yet still having community members come in. But you are right. Our educators do not get lunch breaks at times and are running around like crazy.
He came back and told me right away, and he was like, oh my gosh, I have such new respect for what you do. And it's like ding, 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 ding. That's the whole point.
We also got some feedback from community members, because we do tend to attract some really prominent folks that are high up in their organizations. It was difficult for them to take the full day, and they just can't keep up with you guys.
Melissa, I think you were getting ready to say something now.
No, I think it's a good move. As much as I enjoyed the gala, I think this affords the opportunity to really have our business and industry partners see the connection between what's going on a day-to-day basis and maybe pulling out those checks. So whereas the gala is a little bit disconnected and maybe a little bit more difficult to sort of convey that. Right, I think just coming off the half day, having been in the classrooms and having that experience, and then immediately following going to some kind of gathering will just really help to solidify that connection.
And I just wanted to add, behind the scenes, Sarah has been doing tremendous work along with Brittany in researching best practices across the country when it comes to fundraising and how it can make a big impact. As we all know, businesses are obviously concerned about the financial, but you also have some federal dollars. You see right now in the news, all of our local governments, including our district, have a budget deficit. And what I really appreciate is Sarah and Brittany really digging in to see what is going to be the biggest impact. And I agree with you, Principal of the Day gets people to see what's happening in the classrooms and what's happening at schools. And what we really need to focus on is how are we going to get more dollars in, because I think Education Alliance is going to be even more critical in the coming years. And I hate to say it, but having those dollar figures move up to help the district and help our kiddos, I think is going to be where we really need to be. So kudos to Sarah and Brittany for your work on that with fundraising.
Yeah, real quick, do we have a date or time period we're thinking about that? Because this is what I was thinking is if we were looking to focus a lot of the energy away, if we were able to do something maybe in December where it's along the spirit of giving, I think that could have some good impact. I would obviously want to throw the row some love outside of the chamber not being a big enough space because we'll get more momentum, been able to tie them in as a great community partner. And I was thinking if we wanted to set maybe some timelines, but I was always thinking December could be a good time. People are thinking about kids and the holidays, but it could still give us enough time to kind of build up for it too.
Well, that's faster than I was thinking. I was thinking we'd go in for the spring, just seeing what was going on. And quite honestly, and again, really wanting to have that ability to talk about what could that look like in this venue and thinking through some of those things. Because I do think it's really important. And I think that we have built up a really good relationship and people know that location. It's so central to the community, which is really lovely. But just thinking through that, so much of that can also be with other people's calendars too. If you remember in February, we were trying to figure out what would be good for this. You guys were like, move it up a little bit, but then we had to go in between everybody else's. And so my guess is December is a hard time. Yeah. But again, if you are really interested in this, I would love to, put together a few folks on a task force where we can think about what is the best way to make this pivot, because it will be a change, and with everything that first year won't be as successful as it will as we continue to build upon it.
I would say, just generally speaking, the very start of the school year is probably not the best time from the principal perspective. And I will say spring can be tricky, especially at schools like mine, where my principal, and rightfully so, was off-site so much of the past month for all of our events and competitions. The students have been working all year to be there. So just something to consider.
I know, totally. Well, we did February last year, and I think that is one of the months that it came up is kind of how we were thinking, because we had heard that was a decent time. One of the things I would really love it, though, is if you guys have ideas about, like you said, the chamber got really full, and if we're able to expand this, just thinking about where we'd want to have a before mixer, what that could look like, who do we need to start talking to, inviting into this idea to really problem solve. Because again, I think when people feel like they are really truly part of what this could become, then it doesn't put us being like, hey, this is our plan, what do you think? Like, that can be more organically done. And in my experience, that's where things are really successful, because people are like, oh, well, this is where the win would be for me, and what could we do for you there, and how do we form it, so I do think location for gatherings seems to be one of our bigger challenges in our community after a certain space.
So I kind of second the idea, or the concept of doing it around February as far as the venue goes, because it's kind of a after the holidays lull before the spring and summertime stuff picks up. So that, as far as timing wise, works, just in speaking for the row only. And also daytime events are a lot easier for space wise, evening events tend to book up. Daytime events are a lot easier to, solidify on the schedule. So just putting that out there as far as, ideas.
I should also mention that I did connect with EDON as well, just to see if there was any interest in continuing on with the, what did they call it? The State of Education lunch that they had. Just so you know, I did bring that and did explore that. And they said at this juncture, they are focusing more on interns and externships, which is that luncheon that they'll have. And so they are less interested in bringing back the State of Education.
All right. Any more discussion points or anything on that? Doesn't sound like it. Maybe it sounds like the next thing would be to talk about a task force and get a few of us working together and be able to organize and get that going, because I think there's a lot of potential there. So sweet. Up next, 207, presentation and discussion on the biggest educational issues impacting businesses and industries in Washoe County. Sarah?
Yeah, so this is really, this is if you remember, Christine was like, when you're meeting with your partners, ask them what they think are, are issues when it comes to education. We wanted to know that when we were meeting with some of our donors, both large and small. And I'll remind everyone here that we are most of our donors are in the corporate space. So, when we're having these conversations, we have a few family foundations, but primarily corporate. And so one of the things that we actually thought would be really beneficial is to hear from you guys. Like, we put up some of the things that we were hearing out in the community, but we wanted to know what you guys believe or have heard in the community are the biggest educational issues impacting business and industries in Washoe County. So this is really like, what are the things that we need to be aware of that we're thinking about, especially as we're sort of long-term planning, right? We won't always be in a chronic absenteeism space, but as we begin to pivot and work really smartly with our community, we wanted to think about this. So.
I would say teacher recruitment and retainment is an issue that can apply to even our community, because if you can't recruit and retain very high caliber teachers, then you're not preparing them for the workforce.
What's going on with this career AI thing? Where did that come from? It's just a word. Oh, okay. So AI is one thing. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do we do anything in the Washoe County School District as it pertains to artificial intelligence? Number one, and number two, I'm sure there's a lot of rules that say no, right, Michelle?
Correct. I will say AI obviously is not going away. The district's in the process of writing some policies and regulations in relation to that when it comes to in the classroom, and then obviously as employees how they're using it. I think it's a great tool, but again, it's just a tool as long as you are using your own words and updating it and whatnot. So it's definitely a large conversation that we're having and making sure that we're providing support for our educators as we roll that out.
Yeah, I use AI all the time. I cheat. It's a great. I don't know if it's cheating or not, but it's a tool if you use it the right way. And I remember reading something in LinkedIn, like just one of these, like, top 15 important skills, and AI literacy was number one. So I don't know. We use AI in several different spaces at the city of Reno, whether we're supposed to or not, because there's no policies that dictate yes or no. I'm loose today, but anyway, I think that's something that really speaks to the future of any industry, honestly.
I will say from the executive leadership team from the district, again, this is different than classrooms. We are being encouraged to use it to work smarter, not harder. However, it is putting your own information in, making the corrections, and sometimes it's just a guide, but as long as you are not taking that for all your words and using it for a book report or whatnot, but from an employee standpoint, it is being encouraged as long as you are using it correctly.
Apparently there's a slide. I don't know, Brittany, is there a way you can show the slide on Zoom?
Oh, we'll share that for you, Chris, if we can.
Yeah, I'm glad AI is on there. I would think that any preparation we need to do for our kids has to start with AI right now. I think energy, if we're talking about what the future down the road needs to be considering, is where is our energy coming from? It's going to be a huge one. Obviously, we'll see where the world goes over the next couple of years, but manufacturing, there's a lot of people that like to see manufacturing come back a little bit more than we see it right now. Tourism will remain, I think, a huge part of our economy going forward. To the extent that we are going to be impacted by climate change, there may be some things we need to do to protect the environment that we live in right now. Kind of top of mind ones for me.
I have a couple questions. Well, first, I want to congratulate those who took this survey and used the words durable skills. It's pretty impressive that they knew that term. I'm curious what is indicated by college industry and EA board. What is the context of that word cloud item?
So one of the things when we were putting this together, and again, this was less of, this is more of us putting together how it looks and less of like, oh, this is a result of a survey. Yes. So I just want, right. Because we're like, okay, well, we're talking to people. Okay, how many people brought up the career readiness? That, that's a piece. Okay, what are some things that we think are important as well? So the industry and the EA board, I mean, really when we are thinking about this is, as we are trying to think about if our board is here to advocate on behalf of public education, if what we are doing is serving our students, right? Ultimately, everything that we do, every dollar we're raising, we're saying it's because it makes a difference to our kids who are our future, right? We were thinking who, of these issues as we're thinking about building out are really important and who is either with our board or missing from our board in terms of the industry. So that's why, and not to jump too far onto that on the next one, but like, you guys are out in the community. What do you hear, your friends who own businesses? Like there are people you guys are well connected. You have smart business owners who are your friends, right? You have smart folks who are in politics who are your friends. You have conversations with families that are out there talking about how they're going to get their kids ready for jobs. Like, what are the things that you're hearing that you're like, I wonder if Education Alliance is thinking about this. I wonder if, are they hearing the same things we're hearing when it comes to these educational issues? So that's why the industry and EA board is on this one here. But we heard a lot about apprenticeships. We heard a lot about internships. We heard a lot about, hey, we're going to be scaling up our business and we don't have the workforce that matches that. These were some of the things. But again, we're talking primarily with a corporate audience.
And I'm curious too, I know just in the last 5 years, we've talked a lot about, shifting Education Alliance from, kind of an amalgamation of lots of different programs, that may or may not connect to core issues to, focusing on individual and timely issues, perhaps one every year, one every 2 years, whatever that frequency looks like for us. Do we feel like the results of these conversations and these, surveys are moving us toward perhaps what the next initiative might be? Or how do these conversations ultimately impact what we're going to be doing moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yes, is what I would say. I think it's I think it's very difficult to be like, in 3 years, we're going to be here. But I do think that if we would have, as a community, started talking about what were some of the biggest educational issues 3 years ago, my guess is chronic absenteeism would have started coming up, right? Because those people who are closest to the classroom and closest to this industry knew it. You saw it coming, all of those heard pieces. But it takes a while to build awareness, and it takes even longer, I think, to build sort of community engagement and excitement to move on it, right? Because we've been talking about chronic absenteeism for a year. The district's been talking about it probably 2 or 3 years prior to that. And now you're starting to be like, oh, you hear it out in the community. And so I think that by us thinking about, okay, what is sort of this trend data that we're hearing right now that may change, right? But if we're like kind of keeping an eye on that and then thinking about who on our board or who in the committees or who we're engaging, I think it will give us better real-time ability to be like, okay, this is what I'm hearing as a community need. Oh, this has also been an identified need by the district. Here's where we feel like we could do really good work. As we, again, narrow our focus really on bringing in resources and funding that could address something, right? And so that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And again, this is work that I feel like you guys have been doing for a long time before I got here. This was part of our initial listening sessions. I just have been here in the job long enough to kind of be able to respond to it in kind, like, okay, now we're here at a place where, let's think about these next steps.
So I know Sarah, we talked a lot about just the trades, and we Team CC and UNR having representation is extremely important. But how do we get some of these trade schools maybe involved in the board? I think would be super helpful. I think one other one we've had Renown. I think having healthcare representation is extremely important. That's something else that's going to remain important for the economy. And I did want to just correct, I mentioned manufacturing. I just want to make sure that when I talk about manufacturing, it's like advanced manufacturing, that we're talking, robotics and AI and automation, not people necessarily on the assembly line.
So like not super obvious, but CTE. No, already super obvious, but like if we're spitballing actual terms, CTE.
All right. Any other ideas, comments, feedback?
I just want to emphasize what Sarah was saying before. I think this is where we found the power of Education Alliance, and especially now that we are merging with WEF, that's the secret sauce, right? It's us bringing in community and business and industry with what are the priorities of the district and how can we all come together. So, and not try to do everything all at once, because then we don't get much done.
Well, and not to go back all over items here, but I think that story aligns really well with Principal for a Day and Principal for a Half Day, whatever that is, that connecting industry to schools and principals and students. I think that just from a narrative standpoint that it flows nicely. So great. Cool. Let's go over to 208 if we're ready for it.
We are.
That would be an update on Education Alliance's organizational improvement to modernize communication.
Yes. So I just wanted to share, we are so close to choosing a customer relationship management tool. I am so excited. That means you may get more than one email from me with graphics as we continue to grow, which I really think is going to allow us to build out a better relationship with our individual donors. I mean, you guys have been along the ride with us as we're like, did you get the first email? Were you part of the first batch with the free tool we're using? Oh, we didn't see you signed up. And so these are the sort of things that we're really hoping is going to give Brittany and I a little bit more capacity. So I just wanted to share out that while we're doing these other things, we are constantly just trying to improve and tweak upon the work that we're doing so that it gives us a better capacity, quite honestly, to get out of the door. And I know you guys remember the meeting where it was like, Kaylin, do you want me to do this? Like, you want me to market or you want me to fundraise? Which, wasn't really fair, but, just that balance of those constant priorities for the organization. So I just wanted, to be able to share with everyone that we're doing that and we're moving full speed ahead. So, yeah.
Question, sir?
Yeah.
Does that have any like metadata behind the scenes to where, you're sending out these communications and whatnot, but you're also tracking that, as a result of this communication, we connected with this donor and this donor brought in X number of dollars, et cetera?
Yeah, it is going to allow us to do both. So it will allow us to get some data that I think would have been wonderful to come into had I come into it and been like, oh my gosh, who's connected to us and how long have they been connected, to your point. I think that there's some really important work that we have to invite people to come back to us and continue on with the work we're doing. And I think that this is going to allow us to do that, and in a way that feels like it's more personal. You guys don't know this right now, but we have an individual who every single time we do a campaign, he sends me about $50, right? A check. And he is not in a space where he's digital, I would say. And so we always take time to print off our letter from Brevo and mail it to him with, just a sticky note, like, thanks so much. But he's somebody who really believes in, in public education. And I just think about, well, what about his grandkids, right? Where are they? And do people know we're doing this work? And every single time we share a story about the difference that FRCs make or these re-engagement specialists make, people are like, oh my gosh, I would want to help with that, right? Because sometimes it can feel overwhelming. And so back to your comment about the data, I feel like it will allow us to have that richness with our supporters. And so we can know, oh, dang, I didn't mean to forget you. Here, here we are. Or I see that you've stopped doing something, can I meet you for coffee and we can figure out what's going on. But in a way that I think will really help us as we continue forward.
Sarah, just for minutes purposes, how did you refer to the new platform that we're adopting?
It's a customer relationship management tool. Whew, that dyslexia gets me sometimes. Yep, that's right.
All right. Up next, if there are no questions, moving right along here, 503, we'll go over to 209. Truckee Meadows Community College going to be sharing some of their highlights. So, Melissa, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. Higher education right now, it's a little bit uncertain and difficult. And while I don't want to dwell on that, I do want to acknowledge that it's impacting us. The current federal landscape is impacting us. That being said, we have a lot to celebrate at TMCC, and so I want to share that with you today. So recently, we had 2 winners of the 2025 Nevada System of Higher Education Regents Award. We had a winner for Best Academic Advisor, Tara Conley, as well as Teacher of the Year, Dr. Megan Lottie. So congratulations to our colleagues there. Our students are doing amazing things as well. So at TMCC, we have an internal publication called The Meadow. And 2 of our contributors to The Meadow were also selected for awards in the Pacific Western Division of the Community College Humanities Association Literary Magazine composition. So congrats to our students there. Next week, we are breaking ground on a new theater building, and this has been in the works for a while at TMCC. So fingers crossed, if all goes well, we're expecting to complete the theater in around 18 to 24 months. We'll see how that goes now with, tariffs and stuff like that, but we are excited to break grounds on this theater. We are the first 2-year college recipient, and in the second year of a National Science Foundation grant. The grant is Revolutionizing Engineering Departments, also known as the RED Grant. And as part of the grant activities this coming fall, we're going to launch a shared course between TMCC and UNR, I believe, that brings together students from TMCC, WNC, and GBC who are pursuing AS degrees in engineering. So as a cohort, we're going to build the curriculum around this so that they are able to transfer to UNR as juniors, sort of eliminating the delay in starting their junior year when they transfer over to UNR. So what that means is, Washoe County School District students can, if they're interested in engineering, they can also start at TMCC. And transfer even more seamlessly to the university. So good partnership there. We've added a couple of new tracks to some of our degree programs that might appeal to high school students as they transition on to college. So we have an Associate of Science in Agricultural Science. We previously just had this in General Agriculture, and now we have an Animal Science track added to that. And then our Associate of Science in Public Health now has a kinesiology and sports medicine track. And we know we have a lot of high school students interested in sports medicine. We recently hosted the Skills USA contest on April 10th. Our Health Sciences Center down at Redfield off of Mount Rose Highway. We hosted around 140 Washoe County School District CTE students where we were able to give tours of the facilities and presentations around our various allied health programs that are located there. So that was a great way that we connected with high school students. And then, wow, we are near the end of the academic year. We are scheduled to have our commencement at Lawler Events Center, May 23rd. Wrapping it up soon. So, yeah, lots of good stuff going on at the college.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Can't believe, yeah, Monday, April 21st. That's today, one more month. Okay, that wraps up all of our regular business items here. We'll go over to closing items. Item 301, public comment.
None at this time?
None
Over
at
here.
this time?
Now, not now.
Yeah, now you can. Now you can. Now you can. Yeah, trustee.
Do you get time?
And perfect.
Okay. Thank you again, trustee. Trustee. Oh. Boy, you guys run a tight ship here, man. That's it. Give me some extra time. Hi. I just want to say thank you again. For the record, Trustee Colleen Westlake. And the comment I want to make is I feel really confident with everyone. We're in a war right now against absenteeism. And I can only speak for my schools, but they are doing everything they can, throwing everything they can at fighting. It really kind of is a disease. I mean, it snuck up on us. And we're all taking it extremely seriously. And they're doing everything they can with connecting to parents, home visits, working with children, getting them excited about going to school and activities. And the board is working hard to create those opportunities and those spaces for kids to want to be at school. And it's important because it's not just a missed opportunity when kids aren't in the classroom. It's a missed life that can be successful and be connected to everyone else out in the community. And I know we're all working very hard. I just wanted to share something. I threw it out to Principal Michonne Boucher at Lois Allen when I was there because my little school, it does struggle. It does struggle. But I said, you know what? Throw it out to the kids. Tell them that Trustee Colleen will bring donuts to a class that can get over 85% attendance for a week. And so they put that out there. Kids love the competition. Well, I've got four classes that I'm going to take donuts to Lois Allen on Thursday. That had 86, 87, 90, and I believe 91% attendance. And I'm going to continue doing this because this is a way that I can help in the fight. And Agnes Risley, it's present to win, so I'm going to take ice cream sandwiches. A student has to be there present to win, and they can win the ice cream sandwiches for their classroom. So that'll be six classrooms. Because it's important. I don't want to see any of our children miss the best quality of life they can possibly have. And education is the surefire way to have the greatest life they possibly can have. And I thank each and every one of you being in this fight with us. But in it together, we'll win it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Any other public comments, Brittany?
None at this time.
None at this time. Hey, beat the timer. With that, announcement of our next meeting, which will be June 23rd, 2025. Location to be determined, or here, TBD? I don't know. That's a solid TBD. The time is 5:11, and with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Sounds good? Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.